Water. Well, here's a race car driver out of water. Tom D, three-time U.S. Gold Cup hydroplane champion, three-time Canadian hydroplane champion, making your very first start in a stock car race. What brings you to stock car racing?
Well, it's just an exciting sport, and I want to thank everybody at Winston, and NASCAR for providing such a nice series for us to get started in. Of course, we're going to keep this Budweiser Bardall car out there all day long, and hopefully we'll have a good finish.
He's got a long ways to go. He's starting all the way back in the 36th spot, and our Mike Joy is with the guy on the point up front. Mike?
Well, Dennis Setzer qualified on the pole, but dropped a valve in his engine, couldn't get it changed. That moves Mark Cox across to the inside pole position. He started his career driving Winston Cup show cars, and now you're driving these things for real. What do we expect here for 100 laps?
Well, I'll tell you what, it should be a real good show today, Mike. The weather's cooled off a little bit for us, which makes the track a little tighter and helps our cars work a little better. So, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the support from Longhorn Stakes and Hampton Race Cars, and hopefully we can come home with a win today.
Okay, good luck today.
Thank you.
Well, here we are, ready to go, Neil, and it's so unusual to think of Tom Deeth, all those hydroplane years out here now, and he built this car himself, built the motor himself, done it all. He picked up a couple of guys to work with him on it. He really wants to be a racer.
Yeah, and I missed my chance. I had an opportunity. I could have went down there and worked on his race car a little bit, and then I could have got him to get my bass boat running a little bit faster.
That's what he needs, is a faster bass boat. It only goes 106 or 10 now?
I'm about 110 now, but it's getting my attention, I promise you.
Yeah, you're going to end up busted up on that before you get done. All right, let's take a look at the starting grid for this 100-mile, 150 lap, 150 mile, 100-lap event. On the pole is Dennis Setzer. This is how they've qualified. Mark Cox will start alongside. It'll be Charlie Ford in row 2 with T.W. Taylor. Going to row number 3 today, there you find it. Now this kid can really run. He could pull it off. That's Bobby Faggart. And Richie Petty had a great qualifying run, and of course his dad, the Chief, thinks that they're set for this one. Phil Rogers is on the inside of row 4, and alongside is that number 53 from Greenville, South Carolina, Randy Porter. Going to row number 5, there's Peter Gibbons. He's come down from Stouffville, Ontario, up near Toronto, and Marty Ward, a real contender out of South Carolina. Row 6 will be William Hopgood of South Carolina, and Steve Schumann is there. Going to row number 7, Doug Jackson and Lee Tissett lock up. The number 99 in there, and then is next. That would be Lee Tissett. Going to row 8 is Jerry Knowles and Ron Burchett. Row number 9 would be the car number 87. That's Shari Minter and Ricky Sanders in the 19. For row 10 would be Ronnie Sewell and Russell Gamester. In row 11 is the car number 59, Pete Pistone and Jimmy Sharp. Row number 12 is scheduled for Bubba Urban and Richard Jarvis. And we've got some numbers out of kilter here because one of those front runners is going to be starting further back in this field. There's been a problem, but we'll continue with the qualifying as it was established for these Sportsman cars. Row 13 was set for Douglas Gold and John Claggett. Then in row 14 was Jerry Rechter and Mark Madison. Row 15 was Timothy Edwards from Tyrone, North Carolina, and Ed Gartner. Gary Lloyd and Jim Vanderberg were in row 16. Row 17 was Mickey Hudspeth and Chip Creeder, whose dad was Curtis Creeder, a well-known racer for many years that won an old Grand National race, now Winston Cup, over at Bowman Gray Stadium. Row 18 would be Donnie Megard and Tom Deeth. Then the 19th row is qualified as Curtis Miller and Michael Wren. And row 20 is Brian Pedrick and Tom Darling. Now you can throw some of that away because the pole sitter, Dennis Setzer's, had a problem, and that has moved Mark Cox from Walnut Grove, North Carolina, up in front and shifted the rows. That looks like a Sportsman go on any Saturday night, except it's a mile and a half on a weekday afternoon with a record crowd out to watch this performance. When you look at the folks that are here watching the races and the qualifying, it's just amazing the people that can find an afternoon off in midweek to come to Charlotte. But you expect it when you're running at Charlotte, and they give it to you. They get you great crowds and always great competition. These cars that you're about to see are the starter set. Want to go Winston Cup or Grand National Racing? It begins here, and sometimes it gets pretty rough. Stay with us. Continues in Sportsman Racing here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Just moments ago, Dennis Setzer started to pull number 4 out. He was the fastest qualifier, but then look what happened. The officials sent him back. Said, whoa, we don't want you in here. Take it home. You missed the time period in which you're supposed to get on the track, and another car has assumed your position. So Dennis Setzer, who's a dandy racer, a lot of fun to watch. He'd have been great to watch out of the back, Neil. Got to put it up on the trailer and take it home.
Yeah, they had a motor problem this morning and dropped the valve, and now they gave him a deadline. It's a replacement motor, and they didn't get it in there in time.
There's the replacement car. The number 9 gets a chance to run. Louis Littlepage out of Mechanicsville, Virginia, fills that last spot. There's no reserves in this race. So Dennis Setzer, who's given us some spectacular racing in this series at Charlotte, is not on the field. Moments ago, Dr. Dick Bergeron caught up with the gentleman who'll be on the pole for the 600, Mark Martin.
Well, Mark Martin, on the pole. Here you stand in victory lane. Will that pole position be good enough to put you here on Sunday?
Well, it'll take a lot more than just one lap to do it, but if we can pull, you know, 400 of them together, you know, it'll be all right.
How about the reliability of this race car? Something that goes as fast as that for one lap, is it liable to be reliable enough to go for the longest race of the year?
Well, we haven't had any trouble with reliability for a couple of years. You know, we've got bulletproof cars, bulletproof engines. The cars always stay together. They usually handle well, and they usually run real well, and it seems to be running exceptional right now, so we just can't wait to go find out.
But you have to change engines. You won't run this engine, will you?
No, we always put brand new 0 mileage parts in for the race, so that has something to do with the reliability. You know, we don't want extra miles and stress and strain on the pieces.
Field is out, getting warmed up and getting set for a start. Let's go back into the pit area and get more on that Dennis Setzer story.
Well, Ken, I'm kind of sorry Dennis has time to stand here and talk to us. 9:30, they left the track this morning, went all the way to Hickory, pulled the engine out of the short track car, put it in the Charlotte car, came back, and we're told what?
Well, we got here a little late. It seemed like to get on the line right there. We unloaded outside the tunnel, drove through the tunnel, up through here, and so just...
Check your credential at the gate?
Yeah, sure did.
Okay.
It's a pretty tough deal right there. I'd like to thank all the guys. They've done a tough job right there. They've done a bunch of work. Like, I think Pro Set Sports Cars, they've helped us a ton through this deal. We're going to put them on a good show Saturday.
Okay, Dennis Setzer will have to sit this one out. Tough break.
Thank you very much.
Dennis Setzer, of course, anybody named Setzer that's a racer, that you know you're going to get a good show. And that kid is just terrific. I think you're going to hear about him in Winston Cup racing someday. All right, we're getting set for a start here. We're a lap away. I think we're 1 lap away from turning this field loose. It's 100 laps, 150 miles, 40-car field, and it's amateur night at the Rialto here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and there you see the weather conditions. They're running them down pit road so they get a sense out on the track right now of exactly what speed they'll have to enter pit road at in the race.
Yeah, these cars don't have speedometers in them, so what they tell you to do, they'll bring the pace car down pit road at the desired speed. Matter of fact, it's a mandatory speed on what you can come down pit road. Your job as a driver is to see what kind of RPM you're turning in a particular gear, and when you pit, you've got to stay at that speed, or you'll be fined or moved to the rear.
And that's going to be very difficult for these folks. I mean, these guys do need the speedometer. You guys, you know those tacks so cold, you get a pretty good sense of it, but hey, with all the other things on their mind, their first chance to run in a mile and a half.
You're talking about knowing those tacks. I remember and actually look over. You know, you always wonder if the guy's pulling the same gear you are. Say, that's all the gear. I've been able to go down there, and I told Leonard Woodman once I was running this Buddy Baker, I said, Buddy's turning 200 more RPM than you are. He said, how? And I said, I read his tack. You can see over in the other guy's car because he's down there below you, about 8 foot below you in those corners.
And you're looking in the other guy's car, 200 miles an hour, reading his tack?
Well, I was wondering why he's snatching me off the corner, but I was eating him up on the other end, and that told me why.
I was wondering about you, Bonnet. That tells me all I need to know. Reading the other guy's panel.
Maybe that's the reason I didn't lick the curve too often.
Miles an hour. All right, we're getting set. Pace car is coming in. Stand by. SportSouth, pleased to bring you Sportsman Racing from the great Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're under green. And on the brake, down into turn 1, Mark Cox guns it, gets out in front. He's set on the pole a couple of times here today. He wins it by a disqualification on Dennis Setzer. Had to go all the way back home to Hickory to get another engine in. Didn't get back on time. And in the back straightaway, here they come. The Wild Bunch, ready to fly.
few battle for the lead and one straightaway here.
There's the 22 car down on the bottom of the racetrack. T.W. Taylor out of Chester, Virginia, making his move and going up into first place.
We're not going to see the blistering speed with these cars, but you're going to see some competition. These guys are really bunched up in this division.
And that Robbie Faggart in car number 8, running in second spot, is about to make a challenge for the lead. There's another driver that is getting experience out here and learning, and you're have a good chance of hearing a lot more about in time to come. Faggart in the number 8, down on the bottom of the racetrack, going for first place in the second of 100 laps. 40-car field working out here. The 74 car, Mark Fox, comes back on the inside of the 22. T.W. Taylor, who passed him up a moment or two ago, and Richie Pants tries to make him 3 wide in the blue number 41, then falls back into 4th position coming down the main straightaway. Faggart first, Cox second, Taylor, Petty, and Charlie Ford building up the top 5. Here comes Richie Pants down to the bottom, and the Chiefs car goes up into 3rd place. That's another of the Pro Set cars. They're very excited about that sponsorship. That is Richie Petty going up into 3rd spot. Bound to say Richie Pants when I see that fella out there. All right, down out of the corner, Richie Petty moves into the 3rd position. The 08 comes up into 4th. That's Phil Rogers. He's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. 4th for him. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, interesting strategy on pit road. How good is your gas mileage? Several of the competitors are going to try to go the entire 150 miles on 22 gallons of fuel. Others say you can't make it. As far as tire strategy is concerned, the only time they can change these tires is under the green flag, unless it's flat spotted or unless the tire itself is flat. So we're not going to see as much action on pit road as we ordinarily do. We're going to leave it up to the guys on the speedway. And boy, right now they are really cranking it on behind me.
Dick Berggren, that's a good excuse for these guys with these tires. It saves these guys from having to put tires on a caution, and they're trying to get this racing inexpensive as possible and let these boys get some good experience on these racetracks, so they're not going to allow them to change tires on the cautions.
4 laps are complete as you watch Robbie Faggart up in 1st, Mark Cox in 2nd, and Richie Petty in 3rd. Back, meanwhile, in the 6th position. There's a good battle. There's William Hobgood. That's the 16 car in that muddle, and the 53 is Randy Porter. Randy Porter making a move on the inside, trying to pick up a spot. 16. Hobgood takes over in 7th. Porter is now 8th. Peter Gibbons out of Canada running 9th, and Marty Ward is in 10th.
Again, some of these guys are looking at this as a training ground, and some of these drivers run like the All-Pro in the ASA type racing. They're using this too as a way to get in here.
Got a car loose going into turn number 1. The 40 car gets turned sideways way up the track, and caution's coming out for the first time in the event. Car getting loose and spinning down across the infield brings out the first caution of the day. Here's the 40 getting wheeled around, trying to find its way back out here. Now that's interesting because there are 40 cars on the field.
And there's not a 40 in the field.
And it's Mickey Hudspeth in the car, that red and white car. Mickey Hudspeth has the number 40. It has just brought out a caution in lap number 6. A couple other cars spinning. We can look at that again. But it was the number 40 pretty much by himself getting loose and coming down through the grass. It looked like he was going to retrieve it, then it came across. The 82 got beat up in that event as well. Pitting now in lap number 7. Car number 82 coming in after the nose on that car got sadly abused. And we'll be back with more here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Brian Pedrick problems in a moment. Pedrick was the car that took some damage, took some abuse on the right side. They're still on pit road as we get ready to go green. He's gone down a couple of laps. 9 will have been completed when they take the green flag and get this going once again. And as they do, Bobby Faggart will be in front, Mark Cox will be in 2nd, Richie Petty 3rd coming down out of the corner. That's Phil Rogers out there in the 08 and 4th. The 22 is T.W. Taylor, and Charlie Ford, number 55, is in 6th. Bill Hopgood, number 16, runs next. 92 is in. Field away.
Fix these cars cars about a lap to get up to speed. They've got these little small carburetors and all on them, and they use the cast iron cylinder heads and stuff. They don't use the all-out racing stuff to hold the cars down. That's up to speed.
Interesting how much work is being put forth by the Winston Cup and the Grand National competitors to help these guys. They've had a lot of drivers meetings because they realize that these people are very good short track racers, but just haven't had the experience on a super speedway, and it's a whole lot different out here. Faggart pulls to about a 12-car length advantage over Richie Petty in second position. How hard do you plan to run out here, Robbie Faggart? First right now.
We plan to run as hard as we can run to keep the car comfortable under us. We don't want to get out here and use up what tires that we have. These tires are hard enough as it is, but I believe that if you save your car, if you run as hard as you can to keep the car under you, you'll be right at the end of the day.
Right now, he's under challenge. Here comes the number 41, Richie Petty, pulling up on that leader, Faggart, and the number 74 car of Mark Cox that started on the pole is back in third position.
Richie Petty seems to be able to reel in Robbie in the front there, so we'll have a race for the lead here in just a minute.
Richie Petty coming out of turn number 2 and closes in, gets ever closer, down to a car length now. Takes a look on the inside. Bobby Faggart takes a pretty high line there. There's room to move through. Richie waiting on him, realizing it's early in the going. The number 12 car, Timothy Edwards of Tyrone, North Carolina, has been on pit road and back out. Meanwhile, further back in the field, take a look at that car. That's that 61 car. Driver of Miss Budweiser and hydroplane racing. I love the sponsor on the side. Bardall is back. Remember Bardall?
Years ago, those people used to sponsor a lot of racing events, and here they are back in racing big time.
That's like Moxie. I mean, it's a name you don't see much anymore. But Tom Deeth has Bardall for a sponsor, and he says they're back, and he plans to be around with them here in this form of racing. Tom Deeth.
You know what's unique about that? Just like he said, he built the motor, he built the car, he did every bit of the work. When he got here, he didn't have any help. We got an accident coming off turn 4.
Oh, the leaders are all getting tumbled up. Petty's car, Cox's car involved, and maybe more to come. The blue and white car is Petty. The 22 car was T.W. Taylor, who had started in third and was running 5th at the time. That was among the leaders. The 08 car is also in there. Phil Rogers out of Charlotte. That was in turn number 4 and happened in the 13th lap.
Yeah, and it looked like, here we come with a shot. I would be able to tell what we've got coming here. Boy, a lot of damage to several cars. Here they are coming into the third and fourth turn. This is the area we talked about earlier, a little bit tricky. Okay, Richie's car gets loose right up in the middle of the corner. Right here, the normal thing is to try to correct. He's got it down there. He tries to correct just a little bit, and he gets an oversteer back to the outside, and he really slaps at the wall. The other guys back there is just chain reaction, nowhere to go. The thing you want to do here is you want to sweep these cars off the track. The quicker they get off, the better, because you got a herd of them coming behind it. And luckily enough, they clean themselves off, and these guys can get on by them.
Well, Faggart was just up in front of it, but the lucky man is the guy currently in second place, Mark Cox in the 74. Look at him, just the Richie Panch car just coming across his bow, the Richie Petty car getting just across his bow, and then from there on in. Tough racing, and very fortunate he didn't collect some more.
Yes, with the leaders running like that, with that group behind them, or luckily they got. That's one thing about turn 4. You usually get into a problem here, but it just about dumps everything off forward back into the travel in the grassy area. Kind of a self-cleaning deal. He's got that thing running and coming on in there, but he's fixing to have to park it. It's way too much damage to think about going any further.
So, we're under caution, second time of the day. 14 laps have been completed as they work on these cars that were just in an altercation in turn number 4, which has been their Achilles heel for some time. There is the chief, Maurice Petty, out there as his son clambers out. Richie Petty out of number 41 and out of this 150-mile event. More from the Charlotte Motor Speedway shortly. Charlotte Motor Speedway with a lap to go before they turn them loose. The Wild Bunch here, the Sportsman division of NASCAR on super speedways. And in this latest moment, here's Richie Petty loose in turn 4, almost gets it back, and then it snaps straight back.
Yep. Ken, what you do is when it's headed to the bottom like that, the car's wheels are turning left, it's going down, you say, well, if I just turn it a little right, I can straighten it up. And the minute you turn the wheel right, it'll just shoot straight out there. And it just got away from him. It just, from being going down on the flat to the directly right-hand turn so quick.
That's Richie Petty getting ready to go over for a checkup here at the infield care center at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. He did take a pretty hard lick, and they don't want him wandering out of this racetrack without a real careful look.
It's just mandatory, and they've got an excellent facility here with Dr. Petty and his group. It's one of the better places around the race.
No relation. Field back to the line, and they're under green with Faggart out in front, and Mark Cox, the pole sitter, number 74, that black car, right in second place. William Hopgood is third. Martin Ford is fourth in car number 97. Tires not as hard as hockey pucks.
Yeah, they're not going to have to worry about the tires wearing out. And they do that for a reason. They don't want these guys to be on something that's borderline. The harder tires, you can't run as fast, but there's no problem with wear on them either.
Here's the field moving out of turn number 4 to complete lap number 18. As Faggart stays in front, Cox stays in that second position. The guy that was moving in to challenge him, was giving it his everything and just a little too much for a moment, was Richie Petty, who is now over for a look from the doctors here at the racetrack. Robbie Faggart stays out in front, and Robbie's had good experience on this racetrack. He has won here back in 1990. Came up with a real fine run, was victorious. Tim Bender is not here, the driver from up in Minnesota, who had a couple of wins in this class.
Well, the tires you guys were talking about have been around for a while. In fact, the rubber on these cars is left over from the 1988 Firecracker 400 at Daytona. In 1988, there was a tire war going on. Goodyear at the time wound up with a truckload and then some of these things left over. So they've been supplying this division with those tires at a very inexpensive price. So they're hard as rocks, and it keeps the price down. Lets a lot of guys be able to afford to race.
It could be the only time when a guy spins out, he'll flat spot the track instead of the tires.
You remember those tires?
I've had a few of those on. But what makes them hard is there really wasn't that hard a tire for Daytona, but they are when you bring them to this place.
There's your leader, Bobby Faggart, with Mark Cox right behind him, about 5 car lengths back. For the moment, it's all Robbie Faggart's race to win. He's just out there cruising with about a 10 car length advantage over Mark Cox. Marty Ward in number 97 is the man on the move. He's come up into 4th spot. He was sitting back pretty well at the start of this race, and he's found his way from 10th up into 4th. Looks like he might want to make a run on those guys.
Over in the 3rd and 4th turn, we've got them going about 6 abreast, and somebody was down on the flat part of the racetrack, so quite a tangle right there.
Take a look.
The car in the front somehow got off the surface and got in on the apron, and then shot back up in front of a bunch of them. They did a good job to keep them wrecking over there.
44 car was James Sharp, and the 09 number is Doug Gold out of Winston-Salem. Wild Racing got a smoker going down here to turn number 1.
And that same group, they're very entertaining. They've got all kind of action going on in that one little group of cars. Whatever it was, it's stopping him. He's having to pull the inside.
As they come by, and they're now into the 22nd lap of the event, Faggart up in front and has it very much his own way. Robbie Faggart is back in front by about 7 car lengths, and the 16 car of William Hopgood is closing up for a 3rd place run. He's being challenged pretty hard by number 97. There's the 97 around him, and Marty Ward is going to take another spot. He's up to 3rd. He had a good qualifying run. He had a better practice run. He was as strong as anything in practice and backed up a little in qualifying. Now he's searched out the top 2 contenders in the field.
And what these guys get into, just like you were talking about, it's experience racing on this racetrack, and it's also experience in being able to qualify. You might have a real fast car in practice, and then you plug it up and do everything you do to make it go as fast, and the car is almost undrivable. So some of the real fast cars are starting back in the pack zone.
And the 99 car of Lee Tissett has moved from middle of the pack. He's found himself some running room. Lee Tissett started in 14th position. He's up to 5th in car number 66. We're down to 23. They're about a quarter of the distance, and we still have Robbie Faggart drawing away from the field with pole sitter Mark Cox in 2nd, followed by the number 97 running in 3rd, Marty Ward, and Will Hopgood finish out the top 4. This has been tamed. Last year by this time they had them upside down and all sorts of interesting exercises here in turn 4.
I think last year got their attention, and these guys are here to try to learn something, and they don't need to get into a problem and lose their race car. If they can run a race like this without a problem and just get the laps under them, they're bettering themselves. Winning would be nice, but finishing is the key for these guys.
Here's a little battle a little further back in the pack coming to the line. I believe that's the 66 car on the outside. Yes, it is. That's Knowles. And he's running right there with the 99 of Lee Tissett. And Tissett's made a very good showing thus far. Lee Tissett in the black, gold numbered 99 on the inside of number 66 in the scramble for 5th spot out of turn 2.
Yeah, and they're side by side, and these cars don't have a whole lot of horsepower, and that free line on the outside just lets the car get a lot freer run up off the corner. Pinch it down on the bottom really hurts it with these particular type cars, and when you get inside, you got to really hustle to get around the fellow.
Nevertheless, 152-mile-an-hour qualifying would have been good up into the 60s for the pole position here in Winston Cup racing. So it's not exactly like they're out for a stroll.
No, it's misleading. We're looking at guys running in the 150-mile-an-hour range right now, and after watching qualifying, that you can tell there's a big difference in speed, but they're going plenty fast.
The 66 draws away a bit here. Here's Jerry Knowles getting a little bit of a run over Lee Tissett in that battle for 5th position. Looking back up in front, Robbie Faggart now has himself some 15-20 car length advantage over Cox in 2nd and the 97. Marty Ward in 3rd, William Hotgood 4th, and Jerry Knowles running in the 5th position. Mike Joy is with Maurice Petty, whose car just got trashed up here. Let's get a report from him.
Well, Morris is King Richard's brother, and he's Richie's dad. And how is Richie?
Well, right now they're looking at seriously looking at his collarbone. They think it might be cracked or broke right at the moment. We'll know later on what's going on.
He pretty much confirmed what we saw on the replay, that the car broke loose and got overcorrected.
Yeah, he said the car broke loose, and then he overcorrected, and it went.
T.W. Taylor also just walked by, Ken. He'd been released from the infield care center. He's okay.
Wild incident in the early going here this afternoon. Sportsman racing at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, a class of cars that began on this racetrack.
Ken, that's going back to that wreck, and there's Richie saying, well, I overcorrected. It's so hard to set in a driver's meeting and have a rookie meeting, so when that thing gets a little sideways, don't turn it right. It's just the natural thing to do. If you're a race car driver, just like getting in ice or whatever, you turn to the direction of the skid. You just can't do it on these big racetracks, and the tough part about it is the only way they learn is right out there in the heat of battle, so they've got their hands full.
99, Lee Tissett has pulled around Jerry Knowles once again, and he's after William Hobgood in the number 16, the blue car, for 4th position among those front runners. There you see the 99, Lee Tissett, having an excellent run here in the Sportsman event. And we'll be back with more of this Goody's Pole Day at the Charlotte Motor Speedway after these messages.
Can do it with true value.
And here's your leader, Robbie Faggart, having completed 46 laps out in front. The man in 2nd is back several seconds from him. That's Mark Cox, and he has his hands full warding off Mark Ward in the number 97, who's now making a dive for the inside to take that spot out of turn 4. Good racing.
It sure is. I tell you, they're going at it.
So Cox stays 2nd and Ward stays in 3rd spot. First time we've seen anybody lope off to a lead like is being enjoyed by Faggart this afternoon in the number 8 car.
That first wreck that took out some of the guys who were really working Robbie hard. It's giving him enough room now that he's not having to run the car so hard, and then you get a snowball effect. You take the car a little easier and get further and further and further ahead. So he's in good shape right now.
See the 55 car out here. That is Charlie Ford out of Chesterfield, Virginia, giving it a good run, but he has gone a lap. Now we've got a bad smoker up in turn number 3. And I don't know who's going to bring out a caution. Looks like it might be that car 66. They've been having a pretty good run. Jerry Knowles. Caution is coming on. Jerry Knowles' car is coming onto pit road. He lost an engine big time up in turn number 3. So that is the 3rd caution of the day, and it's brought out by a runner that really put on some good racing for us for 10 or 15 laps. Drove it well, but his day has been driven into the ground as the engine comes unglued on car 66.
Yeah, they make a call like that. When they see the smoke initially, they just wait to see if there's any liquid, and sure enough, the next car behind you will have a little trouble to get through the corner. So they're going to have to put a little bit of oil dry down.
We've seen these cars here on 4 or 5 previous occasions in the past couple of years, and all of a sudden, after a lot of smashing and crashing in some Sportsman racing this past weekend, big fire here. The driver seems to be okay from that incident. He's getting along better. We settle down to this in front of a record crowd on pole day, and it looks like it's beginning to come together. We're not seeing those big jam sessions that we saw before.
Ken, I think that goes through all forms of racing. When you start a new program, the ARCA races. We used to go to the big super speedway races with the ARCA cars, and man, everybody say, well, boy, they wreck. Now the ARCA races are a first-class show without all the accidents involved. And this thing, there's a learning curve. It'd be nice to be able to sit down and tell these guys what it's like and how you need to do it. But I tell you, it's kind of like going to war. The only way you know is when they start firing those shots. And you can tell them over and over again, and out here they learn it the hard way when they're back home straightening out those bent fenders and redoing those frames. So they've been at it long enough now, they're starting to realize what it takes to run on these big tracks.
One of the great old-time organizers and promoters was John Markham that ran ARCA. And in the old days, they used to, and you're right, it was a wild show. And I'll never forget the late Bob Montgomery, one of the great announcers, was in there waiting on the ARCA races when they were qualifying, and leaders are now coming in. And they'd had about 6 wrecks, and John said, don't worry, we got more cars coming from Midwest, we got more cars. And one day, Bob Montgomery said, hey, your cars came in. He said, oh, we did? Where are they? So they're out there by the gate. They all say Joey Chitwood on the side of them. Let's go down to Mike Joy.
Well, they just wiped off the smile on Robbie Faggert's car. It's sponsored by a lady dentist. Gave him some gas and said, get on out there. So he takes his drink bottle with him, and he's gone. Here's Dick Bergman.
Well, Mark Cox has gone ahead of him, though, Mike. He just made a very quick gas and go stop. They made an adjustment at the back end of the car, and he is gone.
Well, Dick, that should take that question away from us on a lot of the cars that were concerned if they would be able to go on fuel. So this right here will put it back on the racetrack instead of pit strategy trying to finish races. Most of the top runners are in and got fuel in the cars now.
Okay, now we're going to bunch them all back up, and I would say that the danger quotient goes right back up to the top.
Yeah, it does, and there's been a shuffle, too. Some of the cars, the slower cars are up front, and the back faster cars in the rear, so you've got to work traffic. And the air moves around enough on this racetrack that it moves these cars. I think that's one of the things that is hard for the guys to learn, that another guy's race car virtually drives you around the racetrack. So you've got to pass some of those slower cars again, and that's when they can get in trouble if they're not careful.
How much of that is there on a 1.5 miles?
There's a lot here. And let me tell you, something we don't think about is these are the old cars. These are the old boxier type cars of a few years ago, and they were real critical with it. These are the cars that flew at Daytona, that we had to go to a new design, that the factories buckled down and built the new Thunderbirds, the new Luminas, to stop aerodynamic problems on the racetrack. The only way these guys could get in racing was take the old Winston Cup cars, and in turn, they took some of the problems that went along with it. So on a 1.5 mile racetrack, they can certainly feel the draft and the moviness. The cars just want to shuffle around. They won't even run straight down the straightaways without a little buffeting, and these guys are getting the feel of that now.
There you see Sharp in the number 44. He's back in 12th spot after all this switching around and all these pit stops have taken place. And we have Marty Ward's number 97 up in front. Marty Ward will be up in front with Steve Schumann in second, and Sanders will be running in third with number 19. That's Ricky Sanders, his Chevrolet. Then we have Ron Burchett in fourth. Mark Cox will come out of fifth, and Robbie Faggart out of sixth with Lee Tissett in seventh, and William Hobgood will be in eighth. Pace car is in, and we're ready to go racing once again. There will be 52 laps complete when they come to the line.
Yeah, we're going to be interested now, say, on this shuffle, how long it takes Robbie to get back up front if he's capable of doing that, and his cars look awful strong.
And he got a very weak start. They weren't bunched up, and he was back almost 2.5 seconds from car number 97. So Marty Ward, for the minute, has it his way. Big time up in front. Here's the 55 trying to get a lap back. That number 55 is being shown as a lap down to the field. Charlie Ford out of Chesterfield, Virginia.
And here's Robbie, Ken. He's in that traffic jam you're talking about. And here's a situation. The guy's probably got a lot faster race car, but he's still got to pick his way through this traffic. And he's not just zooming up through there. He's just sitting in a box right now. There's no way to go inside or outside. He's going to have to work to get back to the front.
Battle for fifth right there as they try to get sorted out. The 8 car is Faggart, has been the leader heretofore, and the 74 cars, the Young man that's set on the pole, and they're going to take number 33, thank you very much, inside and outside.
Robbie's showing a lot of maturity, which he should have from the number of races he's ran in this division. That patience to sit there and not run up there and gouge around on a guy that's not handling that well. So it's Robbie's working, using his head a lot too.
And there's Lee Tissett's number 99 down on the inside. He's making a run, getting under Cox. Lee Tissett looking very strong now. Running side by side. Tissett on the bottom of the racetrack in that black and gold car, number 99, and right with him is Mark Cox in the 74. Now they are back. Hey, that just pushes Cox back to 7th. Tissett comes up to 6th. Taggart is in 5th. That's Burchett in the number 30 who's mixed up in that, and he is falling back. He had been in 4th, and now Burchett in number 30 falls to Taggart and to Tissett, comes right back again. Mark Cox making a game run out here in the number 74. Are you concerned with the amount of inexperience that's out here on this track, Mark?
Well, some of the guys do miss their setups on their cars, and you know, when you're coming up to lap them, their cars aren't set up real good. But I'll tell you, NASCAR has worked really good with these guys that don't have a lot of track time, and have stressed to them in drivers' meetings, you know, when you have lap traffic coming up, to stay low on the racetrack and to watching your mirrors, and those guys are starting to really cooperate good. And so we're not having as much trouble. The leaders aren't having as much trouble with the lap cars as we did earlier, you know, when they introduced the division.
Ron Burchett on the inside in number 30, giving room, staying down there, and letting Cox come back on the outside. Burchett's number 30 falls to 7th. Mark Cox moves up into 6th.
I'm glad to see there's Mark Cox. I'm glad to see I wasn't the only corporate person that went racing. I used to work on corporate buildings, putting in the pipe. I was a pipe fitter. I worked on office buildings, so we're both doing it now.
Do you wear your tie to work, bring a briefcase every morning?
I just carried my little sack with a bologna sandwich and got after it every day.
And went racing every night?
Every night. He worked on them every night. Boy, it was fun.
The 97 car, Marty Ward being shown up in front, keeps the 55 a lap down. He'll try to get that lap back, Charlie Ford. It just didn't work out. Marty Ward stays in front. Steve Schumann is in 2nd. Ricky Sanders 3rd. Bobby Faggart in 4th. Lee Tissett is 5th. Mark Cox is in 6th.
Second turn 4.
And we've got trouble in turn number 4.
It's going to be more trouble. Here comes another one.
Spinning, looping. We've got one car in the wall, another car just in front of it, spinning all the way around, and it looks like he stays up in the wall. Good job by the driver of car number 14, Russell Gamester. That one could have been serious, and that was a good save. They tell you to keep him in the wall, and when he was up there, he stayed there.
Yeah, he made a swoop down across the bottom and crossed it one time. Once he got up there, he stayed. I saw that starting to happen going in the 3rd turn, and luckily enough, they kept the car high.
Robert Gamester out of Peru, Indiana, in the number 14, altering the look of that car considerably there, and lucky that it's still running. Could have had himself a lot more trouble. And one other car is parked up on the wall. There you see it. Number 48 car of Doug Jackson from Kannapolis, North Carolina. That was the first car away.
Yeah. That was the car, I think, that initiated it, and the other one was trying to avoid it and lost control.
59 laps are now complete out of 100.
He's trying to get it off the wall. He just doesn't know the right side. Looks like it's been turned into a flapjack. It's flat on that side. It's not going to go very far.
Well, we'll be back with more from the Charlotte Motor Speedway after the 4th caution period of the day comes with Marty Ward up in front. He'll have some trouble now staying there. As Goody's pole position qualifying on the 1.5 miles, followed by the Sportsman 100-lap, 150-mile event. And here's what just happened.
The black car up on the wall, it got into the turn way back around in the middle of the corner. The 74 car, the 14 yellow car here, was trying to avoid the accident and looped it down on the inside. And luckily enough, they both stuck out there on the outside wall because there was a pretty good pack of cars coming behind them.
Doug Jackson was the first in trouble, and that was several seconds before the number 14 got loose and in trouble. Russell Gamester out of Peru, Indiana. Let's go to Dick Bergman.
Well, Russ Gamester, car number 14, was also involved in this thing, Ken Squire. He is an ex-midget champion, 1989 USAC midget champion. Last year, he was runner-up. This today is his first time in a stock car. He sold his midget in order to buy this stock car. Friday night, believe it or not, he's going to fly out of here and he's going to run on the mile dirt track in Indiana in a championship dirt car. He is currently 4th in USAC points, but he says his future is here in stock car racing. Going to have to keep it out of the wall a little better, though, if that's going to be his future.
He did a darn good job of what he just did up here in turn 4, Dick. He looked good.
Dick, from what I see, he's used to driving those open wheel cars, and his right front's showing pretty good now. He might be able to drive faster.
Green is back on another time with 62 laps complete. And here comes Faggart up to challenge for the lead immediately on this restart. Marty Ward under assault, and it is gone. Number 8 pulling away. Steve Schumann falling back. And again, Robbie Faggart takes command of the race and pulls to a 15-car length advantage the back straightaway.
I'm not so much impressed with how he took that lead and pulling away. I'm impressed with his ability to have the patience when he was in that traffic. You can see how fast his car is. He used his head and worked his way back to the front, and now he's in command again.
There's second place battle. There's 54, Steve Schumann on the inside, holding second spot for the moment from Marty Ward. Steve Schumann there. Marty Ward in the number 97 is 3rd. And just behind him is another good battle. Been that way for some time. Lee Tissot is there in 4th. Randy Cox, number 74, the other car in 5th as they head down the back stretch and take care of lap number 64. That's 2nd. Back through 5th. 74. Mark Cox in 5th, and Sanders in that 16 car, or 19 car, is in 6th. The 16 car, William Hopgood, is now in 7th. Sportsman racers, new stars. Names you're going to hear from in the future. The 54 car, Steve Schumann, takes a nice line out of turn number 2. Doesn't pin it down, just lets it take itself out. The 97 comes after him once again. 2nd and 3rd places. Up on the banking, the 54 shoots up in there, and there's a hole on the inside for the 97 from Marty Ward. Can't use it up. Lee Tissot's 99, Mark Cox in the 74. Conclude that picture as you look from 2nd back to 5th. Back straightaway, another effort by Marty Ward. Showing that rear view mirror of number 54, full of that bright orange color. And then these two game guys, Tissot and Cox, have had their own war going throughout the majority of the laps run, which now amount to 67 this time by.
Ken, through the course of a day, it seems like the equal cars, you're talking about guys been racing against each other all day, the car pretty well dictates who you have to race against. Their cars are pretty equal, and they're going to, after everything shakes out, they're going to be battling each other over and over again. It seems like the same guys going after each other every time we get the restarts and all going.
Faggart going for another win in the black number 8, but here's the battle of 54. Just to tweak it a little, he gets very high. The inside is open. Marty Ward, those engines are so equal, just isn't anything more under the foot. Further back in the field, here's that number 16 car, and that is William Hopgood, who has now moved around Sanders in the 19. 16, Hopgood is up to 6. The 19 has fallen back. That's a good scramble. It's the other way around. Now it's back the other way. Sanders has gone back to 6. Hopgood is in 7th. Ricky Sewell is in 8th. There's the 19 car. And they've had a good scramble going over the past few laps. That number 81 getting into it. Jerry Rochter, he's running back in the 9th. The 15 is Sewell as they come by. Pretty good racing in there. Sewell drops back. And the 81 has picked up a spot. Jerry Rochter in the 81 car. Down in this grouping, that yellow car gets under the 16. He takes William Hopgood, and he pulls up to 7th and goes looking for the 19. 19 on the bottom. There it is. That's Ricky Sanders and his Chevrolet, now running in 6th. And closing down is Jerry Rochter, trying to take another spot.
pack of cars. Now they're mixing it up pretty good right here. They're going to have to be careful swapping the lead around much as they are the position.
A lot of lap cars like Randy Porter's number 53 in the midst of that. It's pretty exciting racing. Meanwhile, up in front, it is Faggart with a good battle for second place. That's Schumann and Marty Ward still at it. The 54 and the 97. 54 is Schumann, 97 is Ward.
Running completely different lines on the racetrack. 54 runs high every lap through that corner.
The 99 wants to get a piece of this too. And so does Cox in the 74. Pretty good racing.
Oh yeah, open the door. He says, I might as well stick my foot in there and try some of this. And he did. Went right on by with him.
Marty Ward now holding second. Lee Tissett comes with him. Remember that Tissett's had a good run. He started back in 14th, and he's now making a nice move. Down on the inside with the 54 is the 74. That's Cox. There's the 99, Lee Tissett, who has worked himself through the field, and
44 is real loose up in the corner there. He got it completely sideways, smoking the tires. I thought he was gone, but he got it straightened back out.
Neil Bond has been eyeing this guy for some time. I guess he's given some folks the best show of the day. Covered this track, really covered.
I thought the first couple of times he saved it, he was lucky, but he must be real good, because he's had the car as sideways as I've ever seen one at Charlotte and be able to come over around the corner with it.
Here's Steve Schumann still staying fourth. Here's the 74 car of Mark Cox right with him in fifth. Just up in front of that black car is Tissett, and then the orange car is Marty Ward of the 97. And Robbie Faggart, it's just run and hide for him this afternoon. He's having a terrific go.
He's got racing just the way you like to do. You like to get out there a few laps, not a few laps, but a few positions in front of somebody, and then run their pace. Not run your pace, but run the pace of the guy in the mirror behind you, and then that way it's not so hard on your race car. He's just sitting there running the pace that the guy's running second. He can probably stretch it out if he wanted to.
We have 14 cars continuing in the lead lap. We had 16 as a record on a previous occasion. $30,000 purse for these Sportsman drivers, getting a chance to get the field, understand what a high bank super speedway is about, averaging about 150 miles an hour per lap. Robbie Faggart looks like he's the man to beat again in 1991 in this division. More from Charlotte shortly. Charlotte Motor Speedway, and for the moment Marty Ward is on top. Big pass up in turn 4 by Marty Ward, getting under Robbie Faggart, who went all the way up to the wall. And here comes the number 8, the black car back, challenging for the lead. 10 laps to go, 90 laps are on the board, and it's Faggart back into first place.
And I promise you, Robbie didn't just jump back there to see if he could do it. He almost knocked the wall down going in 3 the lap before. He was right up on the wall, but he was still able to come right back and go around him.
Mark Cox is in third, but here's the story. It's for the lead. Faggart trying to win again. Has a big local following in the Charlotte area because he does a lot of short track racing in this part of the country. And he went all the way up just as if the tires had gone away on the thing.
When I first saw him, Ken, I thought he had a right front problem because he went in 3 and the car went up, almost hit the wall. And Marty was able to get under him, but whatever that problem was, he might have sailed it off. And you know, he's been able to lead so much. If you run in a little bit too hard with these hard tires, it'll break loose, and he might have overdrove the car getting out of the corner.
Looks like Marty Ward is trying to develop one more challenge.
That's the first time all day I've seen that back of that 8 car trying to get out from under me. It was a little bit loose when Marty got behind him, and the closer Marty can get to him, the more problems he'll create for Robbie.
He can loosen him up. He can move him around in turn 2. You can move them all the way around. It's pretty easy out there. Right there, that section of the track.
If he can stay on him and stick the nose of that red car up under that black one going in the corner, he can create more of a problem for the 8 car than he's already got.
Shift it around, get that back end loose.
He needs to put all the heat on him he can right now.
He's trying. Coming by to complete 93, 7 to go. Faggart in front.
I wish I'd have done that. All you got to do is look over at the crew, and they're telling you to go to the front, so you're just going up there.
Junior Johnson's.
Yeah.
Best absolute information give a driver. Go to the front. It's kind of advice you can live with. Here's Ward trying to do just that once again.
Right here is where I saw the 8 car get the rear end just a little while ago.
See him have to pick it up there?
He's tracking out of the line just a little bit through that corner. The front wheel's running one area and the rear's about a foot out of line. Robbie's working now. He was really in command earlier, but right now he's really having to drive that race car.
Down to the end of this one. There'll be 5 laps to go this time by. Baggert gets a jump that time out of turn 1. Now there's the 74 of Mark Cox, and right behind him, Steve Schumann in 4th. Mark Cox in the number 74 is 3rd. They've been at it all day. Lee Tissett, 99, is right there. He may be having his hands full lately.
Here we got
we got one spinning. One is loose. Let's see if it's going to bring out a caution. It's down to the bottom of the racetrack. The 83 is away, and it is bringing out a caution. That was John Claggett's car out of Concord, North Carolina, that broke loose, and it's going to set up a shootout to decide this one. It will bring back Cox, Schumann, Tissett, and Rochter to run right with Baggert and Ward up in front to decide it all. They won't take any time getting ready for a green flag situation. They'll probably get at least 2 laps of green to decide it. Again, here's what happened.
Here we go. The car on the outside actually pulled the back of that car around. The black car sucked the back end out of the white and yellow car. He's lost it. This guy right here used his head. You watch him. He's not worried about getting back on that racetrack. He's worried about staying in that bottom area down there. He's got the wheels turned down. He's going to go on the inside and stop and regroup and start over. They tell you in drivers' meeting, when you spin a car, come to complete stop, put it back in first gear and start over again. This boy did it just like you're supposed to do.
So, the man who's brought out the caution, John Claggett, got caught up by Lee Tissett on the outside, and that was something you see a great deal of here in Charlotte. Somebody on the outside against a driver with not as much experience and having that rear end pulled right out from beneath them. Right down here by Victory Lane, the 2nd place car is pulled in out of fuel. The number 97 car was trying to run the entire way. Let's go to Dick Berger.
Well, they thought he could go 101 laps, but obviously he could not. He went 97 laps. He had not yet taken fuel. Right now they've got fuel in it. They're trying to start it. He is, boy, what a way to end a race. Ward was knocking on the door to win this thing until he ran out of gas. The car still not fired. Crew on pit road trying to get it started. There it goes. Ward finally off, ran out of gas. What a heartbreaker for him.
So that puts Baggert in 1st. Mark Cox is then in 2nd. And guess what? The 3rd place car, Steve Schumann, has run the distance, and he hasn't come in for gas. Nor has Ricky Standers, who is currently being shown in 6th position, car 19. So here we come. They're showing as they come to the line. Field away. 97 laps complete. Out in front jumps Robbie Baggert once again. And it's now shown as 2 laps to. Interesting that the board is showing, now they're showing 2 laps to go all the way around. They had it at 3. 2 to go. Back straightaway. Baggert in front. Here comes Cox in the 74.
Making a strong move.
Closing. In turn 3, he's there. Fades to the outside. Wants to make a run for the lead. Baggert stays in 1st. Coming by. White flag is out on the field. 1 to go. Remember that Schumann in the 54 back there in 3rd spot is running on fumes. He has not come in for fuel.
Now, Robbie has been able to get through 1 and 2 here fairly well. The place that has given him a fit has been 3 and 4. The 74 car is going to be able to make a run at him in 3 and 4. We'll just have to see if it'll be enough. Robbie's been weak in 3 and 4 the last few laps.
Baggert has been a winner here. Cox is set on the pole but never won. Best finish was 4th. He's trying to change all of that right now, and here comes Schumann back into the picture. Final turn. Final lap. Down for the finish. As they come to the line, it'll be car number 8. It'll be Baggert there. It's Cox in 2nd, and it's 54 Schumann in 3rd, and Lee Tissett in 4th. And Ricky Sewell comes up to take 5th. Now Jerry Rochester and Ricky Sanders at the line. Here's the winner, however, number 8, Baggert, and Mark Cox up to congratulate him after a great run. You may call it uneventful compared to what we've seen in the past, but the driving has really improved in this division. And again, I think NASCAR can take a lot of credit for that. They've worked very hard on making these people aware of what you can and can't do on a 1.5-mile track with these cars.
Yeah, and these guys have paid the price for not doing what you're supposed to. They've had to rebuild a lot of race cars, and they're paying a lot more attention to what's going on.
But once again, paying attention to victory lane will be Faggart. He just seems to have a magic touch with this division running here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
He's making this a habit of winning these things. Nice habit.
Mark Cox, second place finisher, number 74, and they're holding all the cars as they come down on pit road for a moment. They'll move number 8 up into the victory area, and the inspectors are scrutinizing something on every one of those cars as they come in, Neil.
They're checking the spoiler angle. I just noticed that they've got a spoiler angle that's required, and the guy's checking the spoiler angle on every car as he comes off the racetrack.
Here's Faggart headed in, and they continue to make this inspection, just a quick little inspection to make sure nobody, see?
That's an angle finder. It's just a magnetic type angle finder, and if they're good, he's going on. If not, he's going back to the garage without any money, so they're checking them all.
Somebody, if you get parked in the grass here, you got a serious problem at the end of this.
It's very critical on these cars, too. They require them to run a certain amount of spoiler. You can lay it down, it makes a big difference.
I think they just found one they didn't like. They asked him to pull over and stop for a moment. It may write him a ticket. Let's go down and meet the winner once again in Sportsman competition in Charlotte. It's the big black number 8.
Well, Robbie Faggart, you certainly had your afternoon's work cut out for you.
Thank you very much. The Donna K. Agger Racing Chevrolet ran good all day. Track got greasy middle ways and got a little greasy toward the end, but we were able to hang on for the win.
What happened to you when Ward got by?
Well, it was a slower car going into turn 3, and I wasn't able to run high after a while. I had to, the track was clean. Everybody was running down low. So I took the high side that time and about lost it.
And toward the tail end of the race, you had Cox all over the back bumper, too.
Yeah, there was somebody different back there all the time, it seemed like. These cars are so equal, it's hard to get away from anybody. And I'd like to thank Mark, for giving me a little race room there at the end. It turned out good for us.
Now, you ran so strong this afternoon. Everybody usually credits the car. How about the driver? How important were you?
Well, I was having the fun part. These guys had the car handling real well. Harold Fagan, our crew chief, CS, our car owner, really had the car handling good today.
And the driver did his job well as well.
Taking a look at the standings for the final time. Faggart wins for the second time here. Mark Cox has his best finish. Steve Schumann did a dandy job in the 54. Then it was Lee Tissett, and Jerry Rector made a great move at the finish to get 5th. Sanders comes home 6th, and William Hobgood, who mixed it up all afternoon, finished in 7th, and Mark Schock, who did a lot of sideways racing. He must be a great dirt tracker. Anyway, he finished in the top 10, did a dandy job, got himself a 9th place. So, let's get on our plane here, Neil, and scoot out of here. I wonder where they put the flight attendant on that thing. Thanks so much for being with us here on Goody's Pole Day at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where Mark Martin and Michael Waltrip have set themselves up to start in front for the great Coca-Cola 600 here this coming Sunday.